10:30 in the morning, another empty classroom. Yeah. Well, I had several people said we're going to come to class. Didn't quite happen that way. So instead, I am here sharing with you my thoughts and ideas. And beautiful view. There's a beautiful view out there. I don't know if you can see it, but the lake, the boats. It's an amazing space. Well, let's see if I can arrange this camera this way. It's a little crooked, but we'll deal with it. So, I'll give you a virtual class at least. It's 10:30. I still gotta wait and see if somebody shows up. I don't think they will, but in the effort of maintaining my class going, which is I think important. You know, you can't motivate folks to do stuff. If they want to come here and learn the tarot, they ask for the class, actually. I'm just giving it away almost. That's cool. So, my deeper meditations make me believe that somehow we are all timeless energy beings. This idea of being conscious in a human body during a lifespan. How does consciousness end? I've had a lot of dreams, which I could call some of them past lives, but there's no guarantee of it. So I don't really know clearly and precisely and without doubt. Doubt is the great problem in all these things of past lives. What came before birth? What happened before I was born? And there's a great doubt in my heart, humongous, gigantic, powerful, all-encompassing doubt in my heart as to what will come after I die. You know? I have to figure out how to put this camera so you guys can see me. Oh, here we go. There. Can you see me there? Yeah, I suppose you can. The occult sciences, the use of psychedelics, yoga, meditation, spiritual worship, they are all, in my estimation, ways and means by which man tries to come to terms with death. Death is, after all, the great question. Now, in my life, I've had contact with spirits. I definitely have. I could not assure you that it's spirits. It could be hallucinations. But I've had enough strong encounters in a perfectly sober mind with spiritual entities that are not explicable by scientific means. I have a very scientific mind. I always consider myself a scientist. At heart, I like to see, touch, taste, feel things I believe in. But, ghosts have crossed my path more than once. And denying their existence is just not logical. And then there's other things like these weird tarot cards that I read, which have results which I can also not deny. How do you know when somebody's gonna die or somebody's gonna be born? How do you know when somebody's stealing or somebody's cheating? There's something larger, bigger, that is not as easily understood by our scientific minds. And then there's the enormous awe that I feel for reality as it is, for reality as itself. Just look outside of these windows over here in front of me, and I look at the lake, and I look at the boats and the hills and all the little houses and all the people walking around. I'm amazed at the sheer number of people, for one thing. There's so many of them. And all of them with their minds and their ideas and their concepts and their desire natures. And somehow I have a feeling, or I have an idea that all of them create their own realities, just as I create mine. And there's a collective reality. I mean, language is a collective reality. We fall into language outside of our own desire nature. We can learn other languages, but basically we begin our lives with one language which we learn in spite of ourselves. And our ability to grasp concepts and ideas and our ability to delve into language is a very personal, peculiar ability that differentiates a lot by race, creed, monetary opportunities. I mean, you can't expect somebody that has never had a college education to speak in the same way as a person that has had a college education. It's just very unlikely. You can't expect somebody that is barely surviving in some godforsaken country where there's no food and there's no opportunities to be able to converse or to speak in the same level or capacity as somebody that is reading books all day long. It's just not going to happen. So our ability to understand our reality is really not the same for all of us, and it's really very capricious by our karma, our birth, whatever you want to call it, our opportunities at birth. So why do people have occult sciences? Well, because they feel that they have to hide the knowledge from others to prevent that knowledge from being corrupted somehow. I find that odd. Now, there is a spiritus mundi, there's a spirit of mankind, which I do think it's more or less universal, where all of us are looking for something similar. We're all looking for some type of love and comprehension and it's good to feel good when you're human, right? And what makes us feel good and what makes us feel bad too is kind of always the same. That's very clearly demonstrated in the tarot cards. So nobody with a headache will be able to focus on a good book. So mankind, this strange creature called man, which is not the only creature now we've found out, is we're not the only creatures that are self-aware. Elephants, we've come to learn, draw themselves just as we do, artistically. Monkeys have the intelligence of the lingual, the language intelligence before you. So we're not the only self-aware beings on the planet. We're probably very chauvinistic in that term. In that respect, we don't give much credit to what we consider lower life forms like, cockroaches and rats and, what we do to rats, what we do to pigs and cows and what we do to chickens, it's just so utterly inhuman. And yet who doesn't want to eat a nice chicken? Everybody wants a nice chicken. Everybody loves Kentucky Fried. So meditating on what is real, what is not real, trying to become aware, trying to find peace and tranquility in the mind. Those are practical things we can all do. I'm not saying that it's a cure-all, but you can meditate on your emotional state and try to have more power to change it. And try to see it outside of yourself. Try to see your emotional state as something that is affecting just the biological aspect of your being. That there is something beyond that. There is something outside of that. There's something way, way outside of that. That somehow you can reach it. You can reach that higher mind or that higher consciousness through meditation. By putting things in place. By giving space for your emotions, but not letting them run rampant and control your life. What is right action? What is right mind? Right thinking? I think there's 8 of them. Right meditation, right mind, right thinking, right action, right effort. What must one do in life to be at peace? It's a complex question. There's a lot of answers. Some folks would think money is going to get them out of there. Some things love. Some would think power, honor. I don't buy any of those. I'm not sure what it is that brings you peace, but I don't think money or love or power or honor or grace or fame or any of those things will give you too much peace. Money helps. money helps. Money is not a bad thing. If you have enough of it, you can relax. But I've been with people with a lot of money who had very little peace, who suffered immensely. So I know that's not the answer. It helps, but it is not the answer. You do well for people, you do good for people. People may or may not appreciate it, but you will always find there's more people to do good for. There's always more. There's a huge, infinite number of people suffering, and you will never really save them all. So you will watch, you will observe with your eyes, with your ears, with your mind, the suffering of people, the suffering of many sentient beings. You know, you go and you have a roast chicken. Well, that chicken suffered a whole lot to get to your table. The existence of that chicken started probably as a little egg, and it was probably at a ranch, but it's some type of factory farm, which is kind of like concentration camps for chickens, where it didn't really have a life with joy. It had a life with fear and anger and pain and all the negative emotions that you can pile up in a chicken concentration camp. And yet it comes to your table and you're grateful for the food because it feels good to have it in your belly. And there's a huge break there with the reality of it all, with the sense of it all. You know, I give you another example. Everybody likes to get to work on time. Everybody likes to be able to go from one place to another and get there and not be troubled by the journey to the place. And yet, if you look at the roads and the highways and there's this thing from space, you look at it from space, there's this huge cancer on the planet that is kind of like devouring its green skin. It's a really horrible looking thing. And yet, individually, it seems practical to have a car or some form of transportation to feel able to go from one place to another. So here we are once again in that duality of that yin and yang, that good and evil of our own existence. And if you go on a really strong psychedelic spiritual trip, you will recognize that every second, every breath, you have a choice between a good thought and a bad thought. You have a choice between something pleasant and something unpleasant. Something redeemable and something irredeemable. And when time ends, when you die, you are the sum total of those choices you've made. So if you made a whole lot of bad decisions, you just have a whole lot of time to mull them over and think about them. But not really change them anymore. And if you made a whole lot of good decisions, it's the same. And even that doesn't set you free. Even that doesn't really make sense at the end. Because there's more. There's much more, much more. The vastness of it is what gets to me too. The vastness of time, the vastness of love. Just trip with me a little bit and look at this. There's millions and millions and millions of human beings out there who right now are doing work or something useful for somebody they love. Maybe it's their parents, maybe there's their children, maybe it's their wife or their husband. But there's millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of human beings this second engaged in some type of activity to bring pleasure or to bring joy or to bring peace to somebody they love. The vastness of love. Similarly, right now, somewhere on earth, there is a smaller amount, but still an incredibly large amount of people that are trying to do something for hate. Maybe they're cops looking for a criminal, or peace demonstrators looking to bring down some type of government, or but they're acting either out of fear or out of hate. Somebody, somewhere on the planet, millions right now, this instant. Somebody's getting killed, somebody's getting beaten, somebody's getting hurt by another human being for some reason, and the immensity of that. Now, combine those two immensities, the immensity of love with the immensity of hate, and what do you get? Eternity. An eternity of hate and an eternity of love. And no clear definition of either one. No clear winning aspect of it. Neither one really sets you free or sets you apart from the need to choose between love and fear. I used to like to call them Eros and Thanatos, or love and death. The two big, let's say, motivations for activity out of human beings. The fear of death and the love of something or someone. It motivates us to do things. Now I think it's fear. Fear is the other part of the equation. Not so much fear of death, because death is just one of the fears we have. We have a lot of different fears. I always thought death was the most important fear. But I've come to realize that maybe death is not a fear we need to have. That being afraid of death is not going to resolve it. Because we have a date with death that we can't really postpone. When it comes our time, it comes our time. We have to accept it as such. Be at peace with it. That's the job of the wise man. So, well, that's my rant for today. There's no class today, obviously. I think the students didn't show up, so I'm going to go and have my. I have to have a shot. I have to poke my bum with a little bit of penicillin so I can get over this cold. Then maybe buy some food and go home and moat the fact that nobody came to my class. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope I didn't bother you too much with my sad rant this morning, but this is the tarot class for today. See ya.